Hey, everybody, and welcome to We Watch TV. It's the podcast about the TV that we watch. I am Daniel, and I'm joined by a very special guest today, Rizzo the Rat, chomping ferociously on some jelly beans.
It's Easter season.
This is episode 96 of the podcast, and yes, we do in fact have jelly beans in the house, finally, after much strife. I went to 2 stores looking for jelly beans over the course of this past weekend. One of which is like a major store, no jelly beans to be found. The second one, so I went to Dollar General. We live in West Virginia. They're like flowers here. They're everywhere.
We have like no regular stores, but we have like $2 Generals in like a 3-mile radius. Yeah.
So I went to Dollar General. They have a whole Easter section, no jelly beans whatsoever. So I came back and told you that, to which you did not believe me.
I was like, it's Easter season. We're like almost a month out.
So then I went just general grocery shopping and did not find any at that store either. Of course, I also didn't find like half the things I was supposed to buy, and I just forgot. So that could very well be on me. Today I went back to Dollar General just to pick up some side items that were needed, and I checked the Easter section once again. Still no jelly beans. So I was there to get Swiffer dusters, something that I had forgotten to buy.
3 times.
3 times. So as I'm journeying back to get the Swiffer dusters, there at the end cap of one of the other aisles, 5 aisles away from the Easter candy, jelly beans. All the jelly beans you want.
Like all different brands?
All different brands.
Because it's got to be Starburst jelly beans.
I agree.
It's what you have to have.
Like, that's just, they've got a whole aisle for Easter candy, and that is like, to me at least, jelly beans are the quintessential Easter candy.
Yes, Peeps are disgusting. They're
Peeps
garbage.
are awful.
Throw them in the trash can.
What else do people eat? Like
chocolate bunnies.
Yeah.
No, I like to bite the ears off of a chocolate bunny.
Every chocolate bunny I've ever seen looks creepy.
My mom used to make our Easter candy, and they were cute, not creepy.
Ooh.
It's almost like they were trying to hide the jelly beans. So
I think the employees are hoarding them for themselves, because then they can discount them after Easter, buy them for cheap, and they're all theirs.
But now we are officially a Muppet Christmas Carol podcast.
That is all we're going to talk about all the time is Muppet Christmas Carol, how it is one of the greatest movies of all time.
Thank you for making me a part of this.
All right. Well, Hope, what did we do last weekend?
Well, we've done quite a bit. The previous weekends.
Whatever weekend. I don't know. They don't know either.
We've caught up on our TV. But the weekend before that, we were at, shocker, once again, Walt Disney World. And we did the Run Disney Princess Half Marathon weekend. Not just one race, not just 2 races, but 3. We did all 3 events, the 5K, the 10K, and the half marathon.
And I'm aware that this was my fault.
And it was your fault why we did the half. When we had signed up, I was like, because originally I was just going to go and I was going to do the 5K with my mom. We've been planning it for quite some time. And then I was like, well, let's do the 10K because I've done every Princess 10K since it existed. They started the Princess Half Marathon weekend's been in existence longer, but the first time they had the 10K was in 2014, and I have done every 10K, including the year it went virtual, so I'm like, I have to keep my 10K streak. And then you were like, this is back when we were just like fresh off the marathon last year, fresh off training, the vibes were good, the world really hadn't ended yet, and you were like, let's do the half, and I'm like, okay, and I agreed to it. I was like, well, I haven't done the Princess Half since 2014.
Okay, can I defend myself?
Go for it and do the half.
Can I defend myself?
I guess.
We go down to these races, and if you're not familiar with the Run Disney races, usually you can do one of the events or you can do the challenge, which is multiples of the events.
Yes.
And every time you go down there and you do it and you say, oh, I'm doing the 10K, people, but they don't phrase it that way. People are like, oh, you're just doing the 10K, or oh, you're just doing the half.
Yeah.
And it's like, the competitive spirit within me cannot stand it when people say you're just, like when we went to do the marathon.
Oh, you're just doing the marathon?
We're just doing the marathon. Just doing the marathon.
It's just because Run Disney isn't normal. And a lot of times people that are saying that, like, I hate to be that person, couldn't touch our 10K times on a day when we're just jogging it and having fun with it. So that's usually, I've noticed that some of the people that act like that, not everybody, but some of them, and we're not even like the fastest runners at all. I'd say we're like mid-pack these days in our adult age.
For the most part.
So that you just have to like evolve and take that. But I totally get that. It can be annoying when people act like that, for sure. But I'm ultimately glad that we did it because I hadn't ran. While I've done the 10K each time, it's been a while since I've done the Princess Half Marathon. So we got to run through the castle, which we haven't ran through the castle since our marathon. And while that was an amazing experience, when we did our marathon and we went through Magic Kingdom, we got up Main Street, everything was fine. I ducked into a restroom real quick in Tomorrowland, came out monsoon. It poured the entire time. There were no characters out, hardly any photo people out. We were just like, let's just soak in this experience, literally. Because I think at that point, like it was only, mile 10 in the marathon, and we still had a ways to go. So I think for this half course, didn't we hit like mile 5 or 6 like during Magic Kingdom?
Yeah, it was a lot earlier.
I can't really remember.
And
so like...
Didn't rain.
You're like about halfway through, I think, when you get maybe a little less than halfway through. But so I'm like, well, I'll hopefully get a chance for it not to rain. So let's do it. It'll be fun. And then we intended to train a little bit better than we did. That didn't happen. We still have been running, not as consistently as we should be. We can blame that on life events. Like we said, the world ending almost. We won't go into detail. Weather. Oh my gosh, the weather. We had some days where our main running path was just a sheet of ice. And someone did. I think we talked about it on the podcast.
Yeah, I fell. We talked about
Daniel fell. So it was a lot. We had not ran over 3.1 miles, which is a 5K for you non-runners. We hadn't ran that much since Wine and Dine half marathon, which was at the beginning of November. Now, we were able, cardio-wise, I felt like no issues.
Absolutely, yeah.
My legs are like,
so
God, what have you done?
Yeah, so apparently aging and being around, hovering above or below, slightly below 40 and not training appropriately for a half marathon is not advisable.
Yeah, my Achilles is swollen. I currently have an ice pack still on my knee. But, like, cardio-wise, I was good.
Yeah, exactly.
There was no problem. So the running that we did, because we didn't just cold turkey stop. Like, we were still running just much shorter runs, like 3-mile runs, 2-mile runs, and working it in when we could. And we did have a couple weeks that we had to take off due to just various life events. I don't think we ever took a full week off since Christmas, but we did have some weeks that would be like we'd run 2 days one week. And then we'd run then we'd have a great week where we run like 4 or 5 days, which is our normal schedule. But it was very sporadic. It wasn't as consistent. And yeah, so it was a painful race, but it was a fun race. I did the 5K with my mom. It was probably the coldest run. I think I'm going to go for it because of the wind. I think that might beat the coldest Run Disney weekend I've had. In 2015, when I did Princess Weekend, it was like really cold in the 30s, but I don't remember the wind being insane. And that wind was like cutting, which I guess here was like way colder. I get it. But we are people that, we deal with cold winters. Obviously, we just talked about our snow. We'll get into our drive up there in a few minutes to talk about just how bad it was. But like the Floridians must have just been icicles. Like you agree that was a cold morning.
Yeah, there were people wearing like North Face puffy coats, and they ran in them. It wasn't that they had them on before the race and got rid of them. They ran in them.
Yeah. The wind made it feel like it was in I think the wind made it feel like it was like 32 or 33 degrees. So that was my mom's first Run Disney event, and I was like, well, now you get to have the coldest Run Disney event you've ever experienced. So she and I walked the 5K together. I let her kind of dictate the pace. I realized that certain things about me are genetic. When I have to pee in a race, like it's all I can think about. I'll be like, when's the bathroom? When do you think we can pee? And like I obsess about it until I can finally have the sweet release of peeing. Eventually, we had just gotten to like mile 1, my mom, and we were like, because basically they have you for the 5K. If you want to race with a lot of park time, do the 5K. So like you're basically in the Epcot parking lot. That's where it starts for the first mile. And then the rest of the 5K until like the very end where you're backstage to finish is like all in Epcot. And this new course was great. I've done a lot of the 5Ks. This one I felt like you were even more in Epcot. But as soon as we get into Epcot, she's like, I've got to pee. When can we pee? And I'm like, well, the easiest place to pee is going to be when we get into World Showcase to duck into that first bathroom in Norway. And it was just like 5 minutes to 10 minutes of, I need to pee. I'm having fun. This is great. When can I pee? And I'm like, oh my gosh, is that how I sound?
It is. I can attest. It absolutely is.
And I'm like, I really
100%.
need to pee. I probably did it the next day to you in the 10K.
But I will say it's more than just during a race. If we're driving somewhere and you have to pee, same thing. I have to pee. I have to pee. When can I pee? And it's like
all my brain can think about.
Dude, I can't make the rest stop get there any faster.
So, but once I got her into the bathroom in Norway, and then by that point I had to pee too. So when you're hearing somebody talk about it so much, I know, shocker, right? Well, they make you get to these races so early. You have to literally get up at like 2:15 in the morning. You have to be on a bus to leave your hotel at like 3-ish. And then you stand around in your corral and then you finally get the race started at 5. Of course people have to pee. Like I don't know how you people that never have to pee do it. And that's not, Daniel, you always have to pee too for these races.
I've come up with a strategy.
Yeah, but even with your strategy, you're still one person that has to pee.
Yes.
You had to pee in the 10K.
I am correct. I am a person that occasionally has to pee.
I know, but like, no, listen to me. There are some people that do these Run Disney races, Daniel, that are even in further back corrals and they never have to pee. Like, they don't even have the urge. You are always somebody, even with your little strategy to intentionally dehydrate yourself. Tell them about your strategy.
I didn't say it was a good strategy.
You still have to pee. Everybody's giving them your award-winning Run Disney strategy.
Chug a Powerade at 8 p.m. the night before the race and drink nothing else until you're on the course and you get to like mile 1.5 or wherever the first water stop is.
Do you not even take any with your honey stinger waffle
the
next morning?
A sip.
See, I have to drink a little bit more or I can't get that thing down.
One sip. Just enough to help, cleanse the throat and make sure everything's cool.
Well, I'm like, that video, that little girl that's like eating that thing, trying not to vomit. That's how I always am with these runner foods. So even the honey stinger waffles, which I don't dislike, I'm always like choking it down. So I need a little more water than that.
That's fine. I'm not being critical. That's just my
I
strategy.
felt like I had to pee more this race weekend because it was a cooler Run Disney race weekend and I wasn't sweating as much.
Yeah, kind of like with the marathon last year. The cooler it is, the more I have to use the bathroom because I'm still drinking the same amount of water on the course, but I'm not sweating it out as much. So.
Like for Wine and Dine this past fall, it wasn't the hottest Run Disney race I've done, but it was right up there with one of the most humid. Like we were just dripping wet for the 10K and the half.
So enough with the pee talk. Do you got anything else about the race you want to talk about?
Well, she did a great job. She has had some health issues come about, so it was I knew she'd get emotional at the end. I mean, I get emotional every time I turn that corner, no matter what Run Disney race I do, and I hear that choir, and she was like, oh, because I told her that there's like a choir for like the halves and stuff. Yeah. She was like, even the 5K people get the choir? I'm like, yes. And so she starts to cry, and then I start to cry, and then Daisy, which when I'm running, unless you point it out to me, because half the time I don't notice the characters. They always have the characters, like you can't, I guess you could take pictures if you selfied. They have them up on like a platform right before the finish line. And I'm always like zeroed in on that finish line. I don't have time to mess about, take a selfie, because that's at that point I'm wanting to be done. But you do you. Everybody's different. But like we were walking and we saw Daisy, and Daisy was like blowing kisses at her. So that was super cute. And then we got our Mulan medals. And then we met up with Daniel, who was basically an icicle because he ran the 5K, ended up running in your marathon race shirt because even though I told Daniel, no, I didn't. Okay, guys, just disclaimer. When I was checking the weather, I knew it was going to be a cooler Run Disney race weekend, but I didn't know it was going to be as cold as it was. But even so, I was like, hey, Daniel, I was like, you should pack some layers because I think it's going to be more chilly. You just completely disregarded what I said. He was like, I know more, like Ron Swanson with the weather apps, all 3 weather apps. He's like, I know more than you. Well, we get down there and you're like, well, I'm going to have to wear one of my 2. No, I convinced you to bring 3.
Yeah,
3
you convinced me to bring a 3rd.
Long sleeve tech shirts. So you did at least have a long sleeve shirt. But Daniel ran. So obviously those of you that work out, walking, you're going to work up a little bit of sweat. Running, even when it's cold, you're going to work up a sweat. But what happens when you're finished running and you have to stand around in the cold, it's going to turn to a cold sweat.
So it was really fun to run, though, and pass all those people that would say to me, you just did the half?
So Daniel texted me at I think Mom and I were about to mile 2.
Yeah.
And you texted that you were done. Mom said some choice words for Daniel because he was already done. And they have they have characters on the course during the race if you want to stop. With my mom, because of her knee condition, I'm like, we got to keep going because it's bad for her to stop. I'm like, so what we'll do is Daniel will just get in line and wait. And he'll wait for characters. Well, you had time to do all of them but one, right?
I got Mulan.
You got Mulan. You
I
got
got
Abu.
Abu. And I got Aurora and Philip
Twice. Because
freezing, by the way.
You didn't get the second. Your twice would have been when you got
yeah,
in line.
Yeah, I waited in line twice for him. Yeah.
So like he's doing all the characters, so we could easily jump in. Everybody does this. It's not line cutting. A lot of times, if you have a friend, they wait. So because I told Mom, I was like, well, we'll get characters after. So when I get a text from Daniel that's like, hey, because I was like, hey, we're finished, just crossed the finish line. I was like, we're headed your way, and you're like, follow the music. Also, I am cold. Daniel never complains about being cold, and you were like, we find him, and he is like a sweaty icicle at that point. I'm surprised you didn't have like little, because even though I told you too, I said you should check a bag at the 5K so you can put something warm on that's not sweaty. Once again, people, my advice disregarded. So how cold were you while you waited for us?
Well, so I got they gave us the Mylar blanket.
Which you finally took.
And I finally figured out to take it. I wrapped myself in that. And while I was like warm from the run right after it, that really helped. But like as soon as my body cooled off, that stopped working in any conceivable manner. And so I was just, you remember when in A Muppet Christmas Carol, Rizzo falls in the cold water and then Gonzo gets him out and like cracks him on the side of the thing. That's how I was feeling at that moment. Like I was just uncontrollably
like
shaking.
Cranks where the guy gets stuck on the roof.
Yes,
putting a frosty and he has like this
it
snot
was
icicle.
Quite uncomfortable. I'm pretty sure if you look at the pictures that I got of myself alone with the various characters, you can tell I'm like teeth chatter. Like,
next time will you listen to me?
Probably not.
But it was nice because Mom and I were able to jump right in and get a picture with Aurora and Philip. Very exciting. So then we got on the bus, went back to the hotel, got warmed up, and then basically went out and got cold again. So we went to Magic Kingdom to do some metal photos, and it was also very cold there. I'm going to say there was one other time where I was colder, and that was one evening you and I did the dessert party.
Yeah, that was
in January, and we had to we literally bought a blanket at the Emporium, like the little gift shop, because we were so cold. But it was cold, and I had like outfit paralysis too, because I had all these cute outfits planned, and when I thought cold, I thought it was going to be how it ended up being most of the trip, where I just need like a sweatshirt on, my top half, and I'm good. No, I had to like bust out my leggings. I had like a full-blown like zip jacket that I run on. You actually wore pants,
which is shocking for me. Which is shocking. At Disney, yeah.
And yeah, we were very cold. We went to Starbucks, and Daniel and I will drink cold coffee even when it's like freezing outside. And the guy like starts to grab like the warm coffee cups. You know, they use different cups at Starbucks. And I was like, no. I was like, we want a cold brew. And I'm like, yeah, we're weirdos. And it's the best coffee they've ever made me at Disney. Ever. It
was very good. It was completely well made. And like, I think your theory is right.
Probably
they hadn't made a cold brew drink all day, so they really were like locked in on it.
It was funny because before he took our order, he's like, so is it really cold outside right now? And we're like, yeah, and we ran this morning, or we did the 5K this morning, and we're freezing. Then I was like, and I'll have 2 cold brews, please. So we've frozen that. Then we, went to bed, and we had the 10K the next day. Not as cold as the 5K morning, not quite as windy, but still really cold. And every race weekend that I do, and I've done this since I've been in like junior high, I always bring or packed in like my gym bag in school for Run Disney. I can know that a 90-degree Run Disney weekend is coming up, and I will always pack a couple of Under Armour long sleeve shirts just in case. And thankfully, you didn't pack yours, so not thankfully for you, but thankfully for me, I packed mine, and I was still able to dress as Red Jasmine. If you guys know Aladdin, she has her like saucy little red outfit number when she's like kind of like working for Jafar or something.
She's possessed by him, right?
What?
I thought she was possessed by him.
I think like kind of, but not. That's my favorite Disney movie, and now you have me questioning it. I think he does like hypnotize her.
Yeah, I thought he like hypnotizes her.
I think he hypnotizes her, but then she comes out of it and like plays him or something.
Yes.
I need to rewatch Aladdin.
I think I think you're right.
Movie.
I think you're right. I think initially or maybe he tries to hypnotize her, doesn't work, but she goes ahead and plays off on it anyways.
Well, let's not talk about how much Hope doesn't remember her favorite movie ever. But anyway, I was still able to wear my cute little Red Jasmine outfit, and then I just made the joke of Runner Daniel all weekend, and you What did you run in for the 10K morning?
I ran in my Parkersburg Turkey Trot sweatshirt t-shirt, long sleeve t-shirt that I brought with intentions of just chucking on the side of the road afterwards. But during the 10K, it was cold enough that I just kept it on.
Your costume, Parkersburg Turkey Trot runner. Do you not wish you had listened to me a little bit and brought some of your Under Armour?
I'm pretty pleased with my weekend.
Okay, you're still just going to double down on it.
Yep.
So we were definitely cold in the corrals that morning, but as usual, I think the 10K is one of the best distances. Love this 10K course.
It's
the
a
only
good
thing
10K.
I can think of is, again, you and I both had to pee, and I probably was like my mom, like, okay, when can we pee?
You were, yes.
It was a solid 10K morning. A solid. The only issues I have is when you do the challenges. Sometimes I feel like we have to hold ourselves back in the 10K a little bit because we know we have the half the next day.
It was a solid 10K day until we got done and got on the bus, and the bus driver had the air conditioner running.
Okay.
And like you got 40
that?
runners like sitting on there like.
We have been down to so many Run Disney weekends when it's been like 70 degrees outside when we finish these races and they have the heat on.
Yeah.
But this guy, he really did. Not only did he not have the heat on, he really did have the AC on. And then
He didn't know how to get back to our hotel.
he gets lost. And Daniel is freaking out because you just can't stand it, which you've never experienced this before, and you got to experience it twice in a Run Disney weekend. At least, Daniel, be glad that both times it's happened to you, it was after the race, not before the race.
I am thankful for that.
There was one time our driver, there was actually another Princess Half weekend, got so screwed up and there was already construction that I got to the race and I had to jog. I was running faster to get to my corral, which is like a mile. You have to run like a mile to get there, than I was in the race. So you've not experienced that level of anxiety. You're just so mad and so cold, and then we both get back to the room and we're like ready to fight over who gets to shower first because it's so cold. But we got to go warm ourselves up with lovely breakfast at Steakhouse 71.
Yeah, that was very good.
We've had 3 meals now.
That
Dinner,
place hasn't missed.
breakfast and lunch. Yeah, so good. Totally worth making a reservation for. And guys, you know what you can do there? You can get 2 sides of pancakes. You don't have to get like a full meal.
It's funny what you can do with money. They'll just let you buy anything.
But no, a lot of the Disney restaurants do that like prefix meal where they make you choose like appetizer and entree. Yeah, I don't like it either. I like just pick and choose off the menu. But like I was in decision paralysis because I'm like sleep deprived now, and I'm still kind of cold. I'm still trying to warm up, and I couldn't decide if I wanted the seasonal pancakes, which were red velvet, or the regular. And I'm like, I could tell our waiter like vibe checked us because I'm sitting there like obsessing about it and stressing out like, and then I was like, can I just get like 1 red velvet pancake and the rest regular? And then
like one single red velvet cake.
And then this kind man was like, instead of doing an entree, he's like, you could do like a side of bacon and just get 2 sides of pancakes. And I'm like, what? I love that for me. And that was a great decision because the red velvet pancakes were good.
I think you ended up saving money too.
I did.
By just basically getting 3 side items. Like,
You're
it was kind of weird.
Money. We saved money. The red velvet ones were more desserty though, but the other ones might be some of the best pancakes I've ever had in my life.
Now, for all of you who actually like real breakfast, get the steak and eggs.
Pancakes are real breakfast.
Ooh, the fruit was good too.
The fruit was really good. Really good.
I'm
Did you
hungry.
like the fruit better at Kona or Steakhouse 71? I feel like they were both good.
Steakhouse 71.
I think I liked the pineapple better at Kona, obviously. It's Hawaiian, so the pineapple's going to be really good there. But the Steakhouse 71 fruit was very good as well. So then we went to Animal Kingdom for like a hot second.
That place was chaos.
It was chaos. We're reminded why we are early morning rope drop people. We literally did the safari and like left. Oh, I forgot.
How could you forget?
How could I forget? Tell our people about our safari experience. The wonders of Disney magic. Live on display.
Wonders, sure. The one of the trucks ahead of us, if you're not familiar with how the safari works at Disney, it's a real, like, they've got the animals set up in these pens and they drive an actual truck through. And if the animals get in the way of the truck, you've got to stop and wait on them. Well, one of the trucks broke down like many cars ahead of us. I don't know how far. And so we just had to sit there for a good 10 to 15 minutes. And we just so happened to be next to the rhinos.
Great view of
the rhinos. So they're feeding them. There's a guy out there giving them hay, and one of them's getting a little saucy with the rest of them. And so that was kind of fun to watch. And then the driver, bless her, she was trying to keep us entertained. And we get along to, let's talk about rhino poop.
Well, she goes, who wants to learn some facts about rhino poop? And, like, I'm the only one on the little car, and I go, me! I like it.
You actually put your hand up like that annoying kid in school that asks for homework. Like, they're like, teacher, you forgot to give us homework.
I want to know rhino poop facts.
And so she's talking about rhino poop, and then the rhinos just start pooping.
Well, the fact is that they like to poop on top of each other's poop.
And then smell it.
Because they learn things about the personalities based on, like, the poop.
It's like AIM messaging for rhinos, but just with
we have
poop.
to witness this whole thing. It didn't smell, though.
Right in front of us.
I didn't
smell it, but I saw it, all of it.
So that is an example of Disney magic on display, literally. The wonder. And but then she goes, does anybody want to learn about elephant dung too? And told us about this gin that you can buy that's got, like, elephant dung in it.
I'd try it.
I think she was really trying to fill the silence, and I guess just poop was what came to mind. Nothing.
I mean,
Disney magic.
it's often on my mind.
I guess so. So, another early bed time, another Daniel intentionally dehydrated himself. Doesn't work because you still have to pee.
Yep.
So we have the half morning. We're a little sore from the 10K, which I'm normally not sore.
I was sore from the 5K because I was an idiot. 5K.
We're normally not sore after the 10K, but you know that's what happens when you don't train properly. So I do not. While I think it can be done, I don't recommend doing a half marathon with lack of training. Even if you don't have time to get in a bunch of long runs, you should still try to be a little more consistent.
I'm going to slightly amend your statement just because there was a time when we could have done that without any problems. If you're
we're old,
hovering around 40 years old, I wouldn't recommend doing what we did this past weekend.
Why am I Jamie Lee Curtis in Freaky Friday? I'm old, like the Crypt Keeper. So, yeah, the aging, it's a gut punch. But we towed the line. I dressed as Ariel. You dressed once again as Runner Daniel. But you were able to remove the turkey trot.
I was able to remove the turkey trot shirt this time.
Half day was our best day weather-wise. It was a little chilly hanging out in the corrals. But once we got running, I would say that's some of the best running weather we've had at Disney.
Oh, it was perfect.
Great for runners.
Running weather. Perfect. Like, not just for Florida. Like, I think for anywhere, this was like perfect running weather for a half marathon kind of distance.
Even when the sun came out, you didn't feel like you were going to melt. Because sometimes those races, you can start off chilly, but when that sun comes out, you're like so sweaty. I still looked sweaty, obviously, because I'm a sweaty person. But it wasn't like that just humidity, face drenching thing. So the half course was different they changed it, I guess, for Marathon Weekend this past year. So it's different than the last time we would have ran that course. And you haven't ran that course since 2013.
No.
So it was a whole new course. Still get to go through Magic Kingdom.
A whole new course.
It had some highs and lows for me. The lows, let's talk about that first. I don't know what they're thinking because I thought we were running the path from like Poly to Grand Floridian into Magic Kingdom to avoid construction.
No,
but then I felt like we were running with construction on the path. What was the point of that? I don't know. It was very near. And then not only that, they choose to put a water stop in that very narrow place on the left side. So if you're at a Run Disney race, walkers go to the right, runners to the left. So not only do they put the water stop, they put it on the left side where the runners are.
I heard some people talking on the bus, and I believe their conspiracy theory, which is last year they did it the opposite way. So you went by the Polynesian and the Grand Floridian after going through Magic Kingdom, which would have put everybody going through there later, which made traffic for the rich people that go to those two resorts awful, and the rich people complained, and the rich people got what they wanted.
I mean, I get it. Run Disney, the goal why these races start so early is because they want to have people mostly cleared out of the parks. They want to have their highways, their paths open. I can understand that to a point. I mean, but when we had to do that, we had to run around like the Ticket Transportation Center, TTC for Disney speak. I could see there was a group of people that were clearly there to cheer on the runners, and then there was literally another group of people that were there waiting to rope drop.
They were like, "What is this?"
Yeah, I made eye contact with like one of the people, and they were just kind of like giving me this look like, "What is going on?"
I gotta be honest. If you didn't just stumbling upon a half marathon would be kind of disconcerting if you didn't know what it was happening.
But at the same time, in our room at least, we even had a piece of paper, and it wasn't because they knew we were doing the race. I assume they had it in every hotel room on property. We even had like a piece of paper that said,
expect people to read?
It was like, hey, this is a Run Disney weekend. They have signage in the lobby. So like, I totally get it, but at the same time, I feel like they do advertise that it's a Run Disney race weekend and to plan accordingly.
Out there in that parking lot was also where you forgot what costume you were wearing. Because there's characters on the course.
You all had been up so early.
We come up on Prince Eric from The Little Mermaid, and we're running along, and I said, "Hey, that's Prince Eric. You're going to want to stop, right?" Or no, we're in line, and I say, "You're going to want a picture by yourself without me, right?" And you go, "Why?" And I said, "'Cause you're Ariel."
I was like, "Oh yeah, guess I am." So yeah, when you've been up, because not only were we up for all the races, but we had to be up to drive to the airport. So this is like day 4 of like being up and running on very little sleep, literally. Yeah, I think that might be the first time I've ever forgot what costume. I'm like, why don't you want? I got like defensive. I was like, why don't you
got like mean about it? You're like, what do you mean? You don't want to be in the picture with me? I was like, well, it's not about you're wearing the.
And he did say, he said, "Hi, fishy," or something like that. Fish girl. And it was really cute. Whatever he greeted me with.
He didn't recognize your costume. It was just about the smell from the running.
I'm gonna throw my jelly beans at you right now. So I'm gonna say that I've always complained for years about the wine and dine portion where we run on the International Squeezeway. That's like for those of you that speak Disney or non-Disney, there's this pathway from hotels at the boardwalk to Epcot, and it connects Epcot to Hollywood Studios. And they always put a water path out there. It always seems chaotic. That seemed like the great wide somewhere, wide open compared to this teeny little path between the Grand Floridian and the Poly. But what saved it, even though my leg got scratched by hay, which you can talk about in a minute, was if you're an electrical water pageant person, it's like this old school Disney show. Love it. Love watching it every time I stay at like a monorail resort or the Wilderness Lodge. They actually had all the electrical water pageant stuff set up that you could get pictures with, take videos of. They had the music going for it. That made that worth it. It was
pretty cool. Yeah.
It was really cool.
It's the closest I've ever been to those things too.
But I did scratch my leg on a piece of hay because of you.
Well, it's not my fault that your legs are short and you can't step over things.
Daniel's like, they have these hay bales blocking it off, which probably
So you can't fall and roll into the water where the alligators live?
I guess so. I thought it was more of like a crowd control thing, so people weren't just stepping off on the side of the road.
Well, probably that too.
And Daniel's like, well, step over it. So I did.
That's what the sign said. It's not what I said. What's the sign? The sign said, step over, please. The CM that was standing right there said, step over, please.
Okay. I was like, oh, now my leg itches. But that made that fun. So if you're going to do that, like that, I would consider that like at least they tried to make it lively. But then like the money is still running through Magic Kingdom. We entered a different way than we did for the marathon. So we got to run all the way through Adventureland. And then we get to, I don't even know what was after Adventureland because I know we stopped and peed in Adventureland for everybody keeping track of our bathroom stuff. But one of our,
we went through Adventureland, turned around and went back through Frontierland.
Okay.
And then it went up into a little bit of Fantasyland through the castle.
Okay.
Around, down, out into a little bit of Tomorrowland, but not a ton of it, and then out by Space Command. Somewhere in there. The Buzz Lightyear dumb shooty game.
Yeah, that one. So we decided, I think it was like our first character stop we chose to do was, no, we saw Donald on the highway. I forgot about that. We saw Donald in his night costume. But we decided to do another character. There was one of the princesses outside of Princess Hall, Fairy Tale Hall. They rotate them out. And I heard somebody saying it's going to be Cinderella. So I was like, Daniel, I really want to get a picture with Cinderella because she's like one of my absolute favorites. Like, even though I was dressed as Ariel, I was like, I really want to get a picture with Cinderella. So we get in line and Daniel's like, that is not Cinderella. He's like, that's Rapunzel. He's like, I know I get characters confused. He's like, but that is clearly Rapunzel. She has a pink dress on. She has long hair. And like the lady behind us is like, yeah, they're saying that they're like, it's going to be Cinderella. And Daniel's like, no, that's Rapunzel. So then finally the CM turns around, the cast member, and was like, well, it's Rapunzel now, but Cinderella's about to come out in a few minutes. But I think you were just so tired and worked up. And you were like, I'm not stupid. You were like, listen. Daniel's like, I don't know a lot, but I know who Rapunzel is. You were so worked up. And he was like turning around, talking to the people behind us and going, "That's Rapunzel, right?" And do you have any comments?
No, I think you've accurately described the situation.
So Rapunzel left, and we got to see Cinderella. Then we're running past Cinderella, and Daniel's still going, well, it was he's still definitely like, well, that was Rapunzel at first, but I'm glad you got Cinderella. Like, still not letting it go. And then I hear somebody shout my name, and Daniel's like already like taking off. So then I have to shout at Daniel, like, Daniel, come back here. And we saw our friend Jane on the course.
Sorry, Jane.
I think she had gotten in line to see Cinderella. Like, Run Disney Friends, if you ever see Daniel on the course and you say hi to him and he seems just really grumpy, that's just his vibe when he's running. He'll be friendlier later. Get him a couple drinks in him at Epcot.
Give me a couple drinks at Epcot. I'll be friendlier.
So even though the marathon was so magical, I'm going to give this one A+. It didn't rain. I had a lot more fun running through Magic Kingdom. At that point, my knee was hurting, but I was like, you know what? Whatever. We're almost done. About halfway. How would you rate the Magic Kingdom experiences?
This was a good Magic Kingdom. I do kind of wish I liked going under Tron during the marathon.
I did like that.
But I don't know that I would change this course to do that because they've got exits in weird places back there.
Mine's strictly weather related, honestly. I did really like running through Adventureland, the way they had us go there first. I liked how they had Mickey and Minnie in their prince and princess outfits, and they didn't have them. They had it as, and I think Disney should do this more often, they had it as just to take a picture of them or like a selfie, like up on one of the parade floats.
Yeah.
Because I think that line would have been insane.
Yeah. Yeah, in that spot with those characters, that line would have been insane. So I kind of wish they'd do that with more characters, just make them little selfie spots.
Be nice.
It would reduce lines for characters and just kind of give you the opportunity to get more.
Yeah. Now, they would need better lighting. Like in the 10K, we got Bruno and Mirabelle, but the lighting was terrible. And then we had a random lady in our picture, but whatever. I think the longest line was to get a picture in front of the castle. Which Daniel's like, why would we do that? We have 1 million pictures in front of the castle. So we just did a quick selfie and then took a picture of each other. But I was like, do you want to get a picture with the castle behind us like we did for Tower of Terror for Wine and Dine? And he's like, why would we do that? We have 1 million. Fair enough.
We're here to run.
Fair enough.
Yeah, we can take pictures later.
And then I'm going to say, okay, so I need you for marathon people, Run Disney people, there are certain points of these courses where they just have to add mileage in. So for the marathon, the dreaded part for everybody is they take you to Blizzard Beach, but you don't actually, that's one of Disney's water parks. You don't actually go inside a Blizzard Beach. You just run this hellscape loop around their parking lot. Well, this new Princess Half course change, they're like, what can we do to make this like the Blizzard Beach hellscape loop? I've got it. Let's make them run an entire lap around the TTC parking lot. Which one would you say is worse? Because I feel like
Blizzard
TTC
Beach
was awful.
Blizzard Beach.
Still going Blizzard Beach.
Because you just go in and do a loop and go back out. The
Yeah.
TTC was going somewhere.
Yeah.
You didn't do a loop around
I
the
get
parking lot.
that.
We went through the parking lot, but we were
Yeah.
still
It
going
just
somewhere.
was very vacant.
The Blizzard Beach was just a loop to add a mile to the course. They could have did that in a million different ways that weren't just a loop.
I'm going to agree with you, even though I still think that TTC section was horrible until I saw Eric. I don't remember if we saw him before or after the TTC.
He was by the giant pile of dirt.
And I had forgotten what costume I was wearing, apparently, according to you, which that is true. I think I'm going to agree with you, though. Like, literally, Blizzard Beach was how can we add a mile, whereas TTC, you had a place to go. It was just, can you imagine that if that had been a hot race, like normal?
Oh, it would have been terrible out there.
We would have absolutely baked. And then you basically are on Disney Highway the rest of the way back, and you get to have your standard Epcot finish line. And I did something to you that I haven't done in a long time in a race because another runner made me mad. What did I do?
Oh yeah,
keep in
you
mind,
really.
we're undertrained, and I chose to do this.
Yeah, you really kicked it in there in the last probably I'd say what 0.2 basic.
Like the little straightaway when you
we
turn
got past
the corner.
we got past the choir and turned the corner.
Smile
and
for the photographers. As
You
we
just
were
turned
running.
on the afterburners, and I'm like, oh, we're doing this, huh?
Well, this guy was dressed as Maleficent, and he was weaving all over the place. And then this other lady was irritating me too. And I'm like, I've got to get away from these people. So I said, I'm going to do something right now. And then as I'm doing it, and we're doubling down on it because it did feel kind of good to go a little fast. Do you not agree?
Well, I mean, we'd been not able to establish a good pace for a
Like the entire
majority of that
run.
run because of how we were having to weave around people.
Yeah.
So yes, it did feel good.
But I leaned to Daniel as we're getting ready to cross, and I was like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. But so I haven't done that and put a surge in years probably because we try to finish these races so we can walk across the finish line so I don't throw up, which I didn't puke still, but it was more of like, this man is getting on my nerves. He's weaving all over the place. The Maleficent costume was cute, but the guy just, I don't know what he was doing. Do you know what he was doing? Like, he was zigzagging.
Some people don't run in straight lines.
I was like, are you being chased by like an alligator? What is going on? So I just got like in this zone and this mindset, and we just took off. So I don't even, do you know what, I think you did point out, do you know what character who was up on the platform? Because I forget now.
No, I don't remember.
See, I never pay attention. Do you remember who it was for the 5K that you did?
No.
You don't remember at all?
No, I don't.
We'd have to look at your photos. So we finished the half.
My photos are just me looking at my watch.
Oh, yeah. Like, all of your finished photos from the 5K, you're just, like, obsessively checking your watch. And you don't do that when we run.
They put the picture people in different places at the finish line. It was quite annoying. I was well past.
Mom and I's pictures look different, too.
Well past the finish line, just stopping my app.
Yeah.
And that's the only pictures they took of me.
When you don't have me with you to be like, hey, there's the camera people, smile, you just look so mad in every picture. And sometimes you look mad in the pictures with me. I really liked your pictures where you're giving that girl stank eye that kept jumping in front of you in the 5K and would clearly slow down in front of you, and you're like glaring at her from a distance. I hope because she's going to see those.
Oh, I'm sure I'm in many people's pictures giving them stink eye from the background.
All right, so go ahead and rate the half course. What would you give it?
It's a C. It's not that good of a course. Like, the Magic Kingdom time is good, but
the Magic Kingdom,
the chaos going through to get into Magic Kingdom there by the 2 hotels, that parking lot section directly afterwards. Like you, I don't mind the highway time, but it was getting in and getting out of Magic Kingdom. They've done better, and it was. Yeah, so I'll give it a C. And
I think that's why I don't mind the Wine and Dine course, because the Wine and Dine half, a lot of your park time is in the beginning. It's very park heavy. You run through Epcot. You get to run through all of Hollywood Studios, and then everybody complains because, like, literally the entire, I'd say miles, like 6 through 12, 6 through 11, probably 6 through 11, you're basically on Disney Highway. That's never bothered me for Wine and Dine because I don't mind riding on the highway. No. So which course would you pick? The people want to know that have asked us to talk
out
about
of
Disney.
This one versus Wine and Dine?
Yes.
I'll take Wine and Dine.
I feel like I would ultimately go with Wine and Dine, but what still makes me like Princess more is because you get to run through that castle. So, yeah. What did we do after the half? You guys wanted us to talk about Disney. That's why we're talking about Disney. We went to Magic Kingdom after a nice time eating some waffles at the hotel. Finally got my Mickey waffles. I think Magic Kingdom that day after the half was like our only day that we could wear like our normal Disney clothes, like tank tops, t-shirts, shorts. It was like the only day that wasn't cold.
Yeah, because then the next day it just rained all day.
So we got Casey's because Daniel had been, oh my gosh. So during the half, while we're in Magic Kingdom, Daniel's like, I really want a hot dog right now. All you talked about was wanting a hot dog for like 2 days.
I've wanted a hot dog for 6 months.
You really have. Like back at Christmas time, I don't know what says Merry Christmas like a hot dog.
I got a hankering for a glizzy.
He's like, I really want a hot dog. So you finally got your hot dog, and now I am obsessed with Casey's Corner. We've only had really gone there one time before. I know it's like a place that all the Disney people hold on a pedestal, but we barely go there because Daniel's always so hateful towards it. And now that I've had those corn dog nuggets with cheese sauce, it's going to be like a must-do for me.
It's just a hot dog.
The corn dog nuggets are like little drops of processed heaven. And that fountain drink that I had at Casey's was top tier. It was one of the crispiest Diet Cokes I've ever had at Disney.
I could have done without the kid standing next to me about ready to fall over the fence, but...
Daniel goes, well, that would be a shame. Parents, watch your kids at Disney. That's all we're asking. So we left Magic Kingdom, went to Epcot for the evening, met up with some friends. Had some fun. Daniel learned that you don't mix tequila with beer.
Yeah, I don't. Don't do that.
And then, as you said, the next day, we finally get the running done, thinking we're going to have, just a nice chill day at Disney. And then, like you said, it rained all day. Like, literally, all day.
That's not a normal Disney rain. Usually a Disney rain,
in spurts.
At most, we'll come in and do like an hour or two and then get out of there. But this was just from the moment we woke up to the moment we went to bed. Some sort of precipitation was coming down. It wasn't always hard, but sometimes it was, and it was just wet, and my shoes were wet.
And once again, Daniel's packing kicked into gear because he had used my blow dryer that I brought to dry off his shoes. that had gotten all wet because we were leaving the next day. We were going to the parks, but then we flew out Tuesday evening, so we had to go to Hollywood Studios and then fly home. And I'm like, well, I guess you could use my blow dryer. How was that experience, blow drying your shoes?
That's fine.
So
it works.
Tuesday's
It's kind of what that's what that tool is for.
Yeah.
Is to dry things.
So did you get them mostly dry for Tuesday?
Yeah.
So Tuesday we went to Hollywood Studios, and I also have another Disney snack that now okay, you have weird snack rules. Is this a snack or a meal?
What?
The breakfast Ronto wrap.
I think it can be both
Galaxy's
because
Edge. You can hold it.
It's significant in a sense that if you eat all of it as a filling meal, but you can walk around with it if you needed to eat it and hold it like a hot dog or something like that.
So
it could be a
snack.
snack. For me, a snack is something you can walk around with without hassle.
Okay.
And for me at least, I can eat the Ronto wrap one hand and just walk around.
But I finally had the breakfast Ronto wrap. Now, while I still love my tarts from Woody's Lunchbox, I'm gonna hand it to you. Wow, that was really good.
It's a quality item.
So I might have to add it to like my list next time we blind rank items for Disney food. But that was about a wrap. We got on our plane. No coffee maker incidents this time.
Nope.
If you're new here, you know that back in August when we flew, we had a major plane delay because the coffee maker wasn't working. And when we boarded the plane, I pointed out to you. I said, oh, "That's where the coffee is. It's right here." And then we hear every time now I listen when people give their orders. So many people do order coffee on planes. What are you guys doing? Go to Starbucks. You should. I've heard people say that it's really gross to drink.
Why do you want to be awake? Why do you want to be awake on this airplane? Why? Go to sleep. That's what you do. You get on the plane, you sit in your seat, and you do everything you can to get comfortable enough to fall asleep until they get you out of there.
Unless you're the child behind me.
Going Kung Fu Fighter on the back of your seat? Yeah.
That decided once, I was like, somebody give that kid an iPad. You know what? Make fun of iPad kids all you want, but once she had that iPad firmly in her hands, she stopped screaming and she stopped kicking my seat. You could tell Dad had it. He was like, hey, at one point, because I'm getting annoyed, this is we hadn't taken off yet, and this girl's just having a meltdown. She's 5 years old, so probably a little too old to have a meltdown like that. And the dad's trying to discipline her, and then I see him turn to the mother, and he goes, I'm done. He's like, I can't do this anymore. He's just going through it, and I'm just thinking, please let her stop kicking my seat. And I'm putting my headphones in, and finally they gave that poor girl an iPad, and I was like, yes, give her the iPad. I would have given her my phone if they didn't have an iPad to get this child to watch a movie or something. I was like, I don't even care if you don't use headphones. I don't know why people do that on planes. I constantly hear music where people aren't using headphones. But I was just get the screaming to stop. But that was our Princess Weekend. I know you guys like us when we talk about Disney. So that was pretty much it in a nutshell. Run Disney weekends are a little different than regular trips. How much sleep would you say you get on a Run Disney weekend?
Minimal. Be
prepared for early bedtimes, early wake-up calls. I will say it's gotten me in, you would think, normal people would go to Run Disney and be like, wow, my sleep schedule is so thrown off. And for me, I'm like, wow, because I got so used to being in bed by, 7 o'clock each evening. Now I've been wanting to go to bed early at home, which is rare for me. So for me, Run Disney has actually put me into a good sleep schedule place.
Yeah, I'm still exhausted.
Now I'm eating jelly beans again.
Okay, well, all of that out of the way, we did actually manage to watch some television during this time period, too.
We did.
We'd kind of been holding off on it, but we finally got around to finishing the last 4 episodes of Special Forces, the best reality show on television.
So we talked about our suffering at Walt Disney World for running. These people were actually suffering in the show Special Forces. Where were they this time?
Wales.
Wales?
Yeah.
Rainy, cold,
yeah.
Not my vibe.
It looked miserable.
I think next time they need to take them to the jungle for hot and humid.
They haven't done jungle yet.
They've done dry heat.
Yeah, they've done dry heat, but they haven't done jungle yet. So I think if they get a 4th season, which I hope they do, because I think it's way better than that Traitors show that you tried to make me watch. And
a lot of our audience likes Traitors.
I don't care. You're wrong. You're all wrong. You should be watching Special Forces. It's better.
It's very good.
I hope they get a season 4. But we wrapped it up. It was interesting because these last 4 episodes, we went into the first 6 episodes, they dropped down to half. And then they had 2 episodes in a row where no one left. And
There
so
was
they
a
still
lot of
had
medical releases
a
this
really
season.
decent amount of people going into the final 4 episodes, and then they just started dropping like
A lot
flies.
of medical leaves this year, though.
I think the most of any of the seasons so far.
So I think if he hadn't gotten hurt, I think Carrie Hart would have made it to the very end.
I agree.
Absolutely. He's Pink's husband. He's a motocross guy. He's a baddie. So we lost him. We lost the 2 Disney girls, Kyla Pratt and Christy Carlson Romano.
They kind of got the DS's kind of like set them up to get pulled by basically putting something in the way that was going to force them to either get with it or
Which
not.
Which kind of is annoying, but they weren't doing great on the tasks, but they were both so stubborn.
Yeah.
I think Kyla was like, I quit, and then they had to pull Christy.
Kyla quit. Christy, they had to pull, but both of them, they were being tested to get out of there.
Christy will always be a Cadet Kelly superior lady to us all. I think they both put in a very good effort, and I'm proud of them. So going into the final episodes, we had the Surfer Girl, Alana, something is her name. We had Brody Jenner, Golden Tate footballer, Cam Newton footballer. Who am I missing? Oh, and Kayla.
Yeah.
I don't remember her. She's known for being
A
like an
model
influencer
or
model,
something,
Travis Kelce's ex. And I feel like it's worked out kind of how I thought. Like, were you surprised?
No, I'm actually, now that the season is completed, I'll just and I think I might have said this early, I'm surprised, honestly, that Cam Newton made it as far as he did.
Yeah.
I kind of thought he was going to be one of those guys with the attitude that was he was not able to overcome. He made it all the way to the end he got pulled at like the last moment because he gave up a little bit too early. Not giving up in a sense that he asked to be taken out. He failed.
Yeah, he failed.
The final test.
And same with Golden Tate.
Yeah. And honestly, like they did great. They were right there until the very end, but they just couldn't quite pull it off.
And the Surfer Girl, she pulled herself. And that she pulled herself about the same time JoJo Siwa.
She pulled herself as soon as they put her in the room with the crying babies and all that stuff.
I would hate that too.
They'd been kind of harping on her for a couple episodes, trying to see how bad she missed her kids, to see if they could get that emotion to come up, and it finally paid off.
She was really good at the physical stuff. It was just like the mental thing for her, and she was just like, I'm done. So I feel like we did predict, though. I said I really thought Brody Jenner and Kayla, based on performance, I really thought they could make it to the end, and they did.
Yep.
And I have to give it to Brody Jenner. Like, he's like, a lot of the reality stars that have made it to the end have lived normal lives before they became reality stars. He's somebody that's never lived a normal life. He's basically had a silver spoon in all his life. I've seen his party days on the hills and the Kardashians, and I do think that at least in this show, like, he really tried to, like, he just seemed more mature because he's like 40. And if you told me that he was somebody that grew up normally, I would have believed you.
He impressed me. I'll be honest. Like, I've never watched the Kardashians other than what I've seen you sitting on the couch watching.
You watched them with me.
But so knowing he came from that world, like if I hadn't known that, I would have thought, oh, this is just like some normal guy that was on Survivor or something one time, you know? Like he seemed about as well adjusted as you could expect somebody to grow up in that life to be.
So I thought that I was really proud of everybody. I kind of really wished that Golden Tate, who he was
so close.
He really won me over. He just seems like a sweet guy. Like, you could tell he'd get kind of confused at times, but it was just, he's tried so hard. And they said, like, you know, good job. You know, you lasted a while.
Yeah, I mean, they went in and congratulated everybody that made it to that last day. He was so far. He just had to make one final decision, and he just couldn't quite get there, and that was what lost it for him. So
now, since Special Forces is over, we have each compiled a list of our dream cast. Now, my dream cast, I feel like I cast people who I think realistically could go on the show. I didn't put people like, I don't know.
An A-list star is not going on this show.
Yeah, I didn't put people like Jennifer Lawrence on here. So go ahead and kick it off with your top number one because
I'm
actually
sorry.
think he could go on.
I have the unbeatable dream star. If he were to put onto this show, it would be must-watch television. Everybody would want to tune in, even if he only lasted one episode. And the thing is, I could see him lasting one episode, but I'd also see him being stubborn and going all the way through. And that, of course, is our favorite doper, Lance Armstrong.
I agree completely. I think he would bring theatrics. I think he would. I agree with you completely.
He would clash with the DSs because he has a huge problem with authority.
It would be good TV. All right. So you have anybody else on your list, or do you want me to get to my list?
So I think my only named person on my list is probably a little bit too high profile.
Okay. Go for it.
We haven't had any comedians.
Ooh.
And so I think like a John Mulaney would be really entertaining to see. I think he's probably too high profile, but if you could find some people just underneath him in the landscape of comedians, I think a comedian,
that Nate Bargatze, whatever.
Yeah, somebody like that. I think somebody like that would be really entertaining to see how they interact with the DSs, how they interact with the stuff. The only other thing I do have on my list, and this is I don't really have anybody in particular in mind, but I think it would be really fast. So we've seen athletes, and we've seen reality stars, and we've seen actual celebrities. Mm-hmm. I think it would be interesting to see somebody that strides the line between athlete and reality star. Okay. One of the pros from Dancing with the Stars.
Oh my gosh, I put the same thing.
No, I don't have a specific one. No, I don't.
Okay, so I put retired pro from Dancing with the Stars.
That makes sense.
Max, Val's brother.
Somebody who's not, if they get hurt, it's not that big a deal because they're not still competing.
Max has done your favorite show, Traders. So I
put him on there.
Okay, so my list, Shawn Johnson, Olympic gymnast from Beijing. She was the balance beam gold medalist.
Yeah.
And then I have, next one, Tonya Harding or Nancy Kerrigan, or both of them on the same cast together. If you've were around in the early 90s for the whole figure skating, knee whacking debacle, if you know, you know.
Both at the same time would never happen because if they both got on there and they both made it far enough to get to the part where you have to beat somebody else up, they're going to put them together because there's no TV producer on the planet that is going to miss that opportunity.
Well, they've both done Dancing with the Stars. This show's famous for having people that do Dancing with the Stars in this. Who would you rather see? I think they both bring equally good drama. Honestly, Tonya would probably bring more drama.
Yeah, Tonya. It's no question. It's no question. If I have to pick one, it's Tonya Harding. Come on.
All right. So then you just want to whack and go. Tonya Harding. That wasn't a good joke.
No.
Okay, so Ryan Lochte, because we're not getting Michael Phelps, so why not get the controversial Olympic swimmer, Ryan Lochte? He's also done Traders, so he's done reality TV show, and he's done Dancing with the Stars. And then I do have Lance Armstrong. I have Chloe Lukasiak from Dance Moms. I also want her on Dancing with the Stars. Then I have a boy bander, preferably from NSYNC or Backstreet Boys. So I'm thinking Chris or Joey from NSYNC. And then I'm thinking AJ from Backstreet Boys.
Well, I mean, the Backstreet Boys are still performing and are pretty popular, so I don't think they're going to be in there.
Chris
but
is still performing.
But certainly somebody from NSYNC because they're not doing anything.
Why do you hurt me so? Then I've got Jodie Sweetin from Full House. We know the Olsen twins wouldn't do it. I don't think Candace would do it, so why not get, how rude, Stephanie Tanner. I feel like she's...
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, and then I have Hines Ward for an old athlete who's
Yeah.
also done and won Dancing with the Stars. Now this is controversial, even for me, but only because he'd bring good TV and he could have a redemption angle or go even worse.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I know.
Antonio Brown. How's business? Booming. Then I have, like I told you, I really thought about this. I have Jake Lloyd, because he's gotten better. The OG Anakin
I don't
from
think
Phantom
that's gonna
Menace.
happen.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna happen either. But if he could get to a healthy place, and then I also had Dancing with the Stars Pro, who's retired. I have Bachelor Joey, and then I have Rob Gronkowski. I don't think you're ever gonna get Tom Brady, but I think you could get Gronk. What do you think?
I think you could just somebody could go up to Gronk at a bar and bet him $50 to finish it, and he'd do it.
And I think he would finish it. I think he'd be funny. Then I have Sophia Bush from One Tree Hill, because I was like, I need somebody from one of my teen dramas. Then I have any member of the Magnificent Seven gymnastics team from Atlanta, because they'd all be a little bit older.
Yeah.
But I think they would do good. And then we're talking about Olympians, and we all forget about our distance runners. So I have Shalane Flanagan or Kara Goucher. They're distance runners. Then I have Shaun White, probably a little too famous.
Yeah, probably.
And then I have Hillary Duff. to get for the Disney. It's the OG, the actual Cadet Kelly. So that is my dream list. And I think that a lot of these people are good, solid picks that would actually do the show.
We'll see. Hopefully they get a season 4. Fox producers, if you're listening, please give us a season 4. This is the best show. If you're not watching this, if you're listening to our podcast, if you're an hour into our podcast and you're hearing us still listening, I'm pleading with you to watch Special Forces. All 3 seasons are just fantastic.
So if you've had to sever yourself to get through the beginning podcast because you are one of the people that did not want us to talk about Disney or Special Forces, now we're going to talk about our next show, Severance. If you know, you know. So we watched episodes 6 and 7 of Severance, and what a ride.
This is the best show on television.
You're going to put it above The Bear?
Yeah.
See, I'm still thinking Hacks for
the
me.
The reason I didn't say The Bear during our or Severance during our deliberations last time we had them is because we didn't know. It only had 1 season, and we weren't sure how they were going to come out in season 2. And folks, they have come out. They are strong. They are powerful. Season 2, episode 7.
Oh, it was beautiful.
Maybe the best episode of television ever.
Okay, I'm not going to go as far as say that. That's a little much. But you're willing to say that when we still have a few episodes left. Because it's
correct. Yes, I am. Yes, without hesitation. So, I'm willing to say that.
Episode 6, I think, was more about Mark getting like his reintegration. His sister now finds out what they're doing. Honestly, I can barely remember.
He and Helly got it on.
Oh, yeah. Like the actual, yeah.
And it was a really awkward situation.
That was weird.
Yeah.
But the reason why episode 6 is slipping my mind because you said episode 7 was so good. We finally got information on Gemma, his wife, what she's doing. It seems to me they're holding her like captive.
Yes, absolutely.
Down there. Like she started to see this guy, Robbie Benson, who's the voice of the Beast from Beauty and the Beast, people. What? He like plays this doctor and we assume she's going to him for fertility treatment. So my question is this. When she signed up for the fertility treatments, did she sign up knowing what she was doing, or did they literally like convince her or coerce her into joining this program? Because it seems to me they'll send her to, she has multiple different personalities. She has one that, imagine waking every time you open your eyes you're at the dentist.
That's all you do for a couple hours.
Hellscape life is that. There's one, every day it's Christmas and you have to write Christmas cards.
Yeah, until your hand hurts.
Casey. Like, so they're doing different things with her. Like, how do we think she got involved?
I don't know. I'm along for the ride at this point, but the way they wove so they gave us background on Mark and Gemma and how they met.
Yeah.
They gave us updates on what Mark and Gemma are doing right now because Mark is really suffering through the process of reintegration, and Gemma's been in this purgatorial hell for.
And she wants to see Mark.
Yeah, and then she gets told by the guy, oh, he remarried last year and has a kid.
Because we do see regular Gemma.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Yes, which is even more confusing as to how she got there because we thought she died in a car accident, and Mark even made a comment in season 1. I verified the body.
Yeah.
So it's they're gonna need to explain some more.
Yeah.
But the way they wove this episode together with the cinematography and the edits and the cuts and everything,
it was great.
It was beautiful. The way they used music, everything. Okay, maybe. I think saying best individual television episode ever is really difficult because taste comes into a lot of that.
Yeah.
It's an all-timer.
Yeah, it's really good.
It isn't. When you point back and think about a show, I'm going to think about this episode.
See, I always think about the episode with the suitcase on Mad Men with Peggy and Don in the suitcase.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the when I think, and that it's not even like you say taste because that's not from a beautiful, but from a storytelling perspective.
Right. Yeah,
that's an episode I always remember. So, yeah, I want to know why she's down there. I have a lot of questions. I need to point it out, or I'd be remiss. Mark, pre-severed life, looking good. Wow, bravo. So I really want to know, like, this doctor, like, clearly is shady. Like, at one point he's playing a dentist, then he's pretending to be her husband. Like, I want to know if she thought she was signing up for, like, a way to help conceive a child, and I want to know if she knew what she was doing, or if they actually captured her and promised she'd see Mark later.
I think the fact that she's asking about Mark and they're
Yeah.
lying to her about what's happened to him suggests that she's not there.
Willingly.
Like the wreck
Totally.
was, in my opinion, I believe the car wreck was put on by
Set up.
Lumen to capture her, and she's down there, and they've given her some fake story
Yeah.
about how they're trying to resuscitate her or something.
But
I don't
then
know.
they said something weird. They said so the two guys are talking, like the fake doctor and this other guy, and they're like, well, when Cold Harbor or whatever is complete, that's Mark's project, then we're going to get rid of her.
Yeah.
I need to know about that. And Daniel, I looked. There are 10 episodes of Severance, and the final episode, according to IMDb, is titled Cold Harbor.
Do you remember when early in the first in this episode where they asked her, what would scare you more, suffocation or drowning?
Yes.
And she said drowning.
Yeah.
I know what's a harbor.
Ah.
I'm worried. I'm worried.
The vibes aren't there.
I'm very worried.
You know what else I'm worried about? Those creepy freaking kids on the White Lotus. So we are caught up with the White Lotus, watched episodes 2 and 3. For those who are watching the White Lotus season 3, it's only an 8-episode season, sadly, and it's just getting weirder and weirder. But my Walton Goggins love is getting stronger and stronger. I cannot explain it, why I'm attracted to this man, but if you know, you know, I guess, ladies or gentlemen. So what do you think, White Lotus?
It is exactly what I want out of the White Lotus. It's disconcerting. It's creepy.
It's weird.
Always giving you mystery and weirdness.
I'm starting to warm up to the new theme song.
I think the new theme song's great. Like the
I
more
still
I
miss
hear
the
it,
old one,
I miss
but-
the old one.
but
Yes,
now I'm starting to dance when it
but
opens.
when the
Yeah.
beat kicks in on the new theme song, I'm sitting here shaking because I think it's good. I think it's a no skip, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I like I said, I've not ever. None of the seasons of this show have I ever known what's going on,
and I love it.
and I've always been fine with it, and I'm right there for the ride here. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what Walton Goggins' character is up to.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen with those three ladies that hate each other.
Three blondes.
This weird North Carolina family, I can't stand them.
Lucius Malfoy.
Yeah, and then we got Greg
We
wandering
flew over
around,
the North Pole.
and they're going to get on his boat next
Yeah,
episode.
but he's going by Gary.
Going
in the
by
show.
Gary. The masseuse from
Belinda
the first season recognized him. It's excellent.
I feel like this is an example where they let the show creator Mike White just do what he wants.
Yes.
There were some uncomfortable
Correct.
conversations between the three girls. I love that they've all talked about the other girl with each other at one point. So catty. They had a very uncomfortable conversation. I'm not about, political matters that I feel like we've all had in our real lives at some point, which I think it's kind of struck a chord with people. I love that the show makes people feel uncomfortable. My favorite character is Chelsea, the girl that's dating Rick, Walton Goggins' character. I think
she's great.
hilarious.
She's great.
The actress is amusing. I love her in interviews, so I love the actress now. She's a perfect character. I am a fellow Aries. She's like, I'm an Aries. We have to talk a lot. And I was like, yes. So it's just I want her to survive, but I'm worried. So in the most recent episode, he's like, because he has some plans. I don't know what Rick's up to.
He has business with the male owner of the hotel, who
Yes,
we haven't
who
met
we
yet.
haven't met yet.
We've met his wife,
We know
and
he's
she's
in Bangkok.
and he's in Bangkok. His wife's getting ready to go see him in Bangkok, and Rick's not found out he's there, so
Yeah.
he's going to go find him. But then he's been talking to the therapist, and she's been getting into his head, so he goes into town to buy some weed.
And they go to a snake show.
And he decides to ignore talking to his girlfriend by going to the snake
Yeah.
show. Hi.
The snake show reminded me of those like little road stop like gator shows that they do in like Florida that don't seem very safe. And so he decides he's getting upset watching the cobras. He's just going to go release all the venomous snakes. And then I'm like, well, that's going to be scary. So enter Chelsea. And I wasn't excited. I thought she was going to scream about the snakes. Boom! Bit on the leg. And they're like, we have to take her to the hospital so she doesn't die. So then he skip forward and Chelsea's sitting at the table with the bandage on. And she's like, yeah, I almost died twice. Like, what?
I don't know. I think she's going to make it now. We were worried after the first episode
Yeah.
with the foreshadowing.
Yeah. I love her, though.
But I
need her
think
to
she's
make
going to
it.
make it. Yeah.
So she's my favorite character. My least favorite character is Patrick Schwarzenegger's character, Saxon.
He's
so
awful.
creepy and weird.
But I mean, props to the actor because he is making that character
So
awful on
icky.
purpose.
all the kids creep me out for different reasons. It's just the vibes aren't there. I'm going to say, if anything, Greg/Gary is good for, they're all supposed to go out on his boat, is maybe he'll kill Saxon. So a lot of people, I guess, thought that this might be a prequel to the other seasons. And then we're like, I never thought that, but everybody thought that maybe. But as soon as, like, Belinda recognized Greg, they were like, oh, it's not a prequel. I never had that theory.
No, I never thought that.
Not once. We also talked about Lucius Malfoy's Southern accent, I think, on the first episode.
Yes.
And I think we owe an apology. We didn't realize that he was trying to do that rich North Carolina type of Southern accent.
It sounded so odd to me when I first heard it, and I just marked it up to British actor trying to do a Southern accent.
Because we hear Appalachian around these parts.
And so then we saw an interview with him where he was talking about how he was trying to do a very specific North Carolina accent from some people that he has seen.
Yeah.
And he even watched like some specific reality
some Southern
TV.
show, yeah.
And I can see it now. He's not slipping. He's doing something on purpose, and it's just an accent that even here in America, even here in the American Southeast, we're not really familiar with.
And I've seen people that are from that Raleigh area say he's nailing it.
Well, hey, listen, if he's doing the accent from that part of the world and they say he's doing great, who am I to judge?
And I think his character, so he's in some legal trouble, and he finally decides to take some of his wife's meds. I think this is what I was thinking about. I was thinking about this while I was in the shower, actually. I think that he's going to get himself so doped up, but then he's going to end up taking a lot more of her meds, and she's going to run out of meds, and it's going to be a problem.
If I had to put money,
needs her meds.
If I had to put money on a character dying this season, it's him. I think because they've already shown us that he relieves stress by just going
to work out
whole ham on the treadmill, right? Yeah. And he's always seems kind of in some sort of physical discomfort,
intense.
And now he's taking pills. I think, and he's got all the stress of this legal situation in front of him.
Timothy.
And then the analogy of the tsunami.
Yeah, he just stood there.
Yeah, I think he might be the one that gets it.
And then Mook, one of the girls that works at
she's
the hotel.
bad. She's totally bad.
I think so
she's
too.
bad.
I think she set up the robbery, and I think she's playing the one guy.
She helped.
All right, so that's it on White Lotus. Can't wait for more. You know what I'm not excited for more of? Suits LA.
What a stinker. This
I miss Mike Ross and
was
Harvey Specter.
So bad. And it's one of those Larry David memes where it's like, F you, I'll see you tomorrow. Because I'm going to watch the next episode.
We haven't watched the second episode yet, but we did watch the premiere, and it did have some potential, okay? Like, I'll give it that. I got a little hooked at the end. I was like, okay, this is all right, but I think the mistake number one they made is they just went into it. They didn't take time to really establish the characters, which I think they're going to try. I think they're going to use the storytelling method of we're going to sprinkle that in throughout the season with Daniel's favorite.
They literally wait. If anybody listened to our supercut last week about Suits, you will know my disdain for their yellow filter over to denote flashback, and they open the season with it. The very first thing we get, it's Suits LA, and it's the show opens on this dumpy house, and it says New York 2010 yellow filter. I'm like, ah!
It really did. That was the opening scene.
That was it. That was the opening scene.
Oh my gosh. So I was like, well, you're getting some of these flashbacks, but then it's like zip, zip, zip into the show. So
no time to breathe between scenes. No time to let any emotional impact of anything linger. It's just like bam, 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 bam.
Like the whole thing with like the one guy being the one that ended up betraying him, Jake Jagowski's character. I don't know what the guy, that's his name from One Tree Hill. I think Brian Greenberg is the actor. Like, I think that would have been more of an emotional punch if I had known the character more.
Right, exactly.
Like, if you'd done that in episode 2 or something.
What the problem is, they tried to stuff way too much stuff into this first episode.
We have a dead brother.
And they focused on nothing.
He's seeing ghosts?
Yeah. They focused on nothing.
It was, and it did enough that I am interested to see where the story goes, but I think that's the storytelling method they're going to have, and I don't love it, and telling it through flashbacks.
Actually, because the way they're filming this show, like, we're getting like 13 episodes, but they haven't even started filming like 5 or 6 yet, right?
I read that, but I don't know if that's true.
But if that's what they're doing, I think what they're doing is shotgunning ideas waiting for people's reactions to come in and then writing to those reactions. And so I think as the season goes along, they're going to get a little bit more defined.
Is it like our medals from the half marathon where what kind of mood I'm going to... So our medals from the half marathon are jumping back to Disney.
Back to Disney again.
Are a Snow White evil queen, like, so it spins. So the whole trip we'd be like, what kind of mood am I going to be in? And we'd spin it and I would get evil queen every time. And you'd always get Snow White. That's fine. Is that what they're doing?
I think honestly, if that is true, that they really have only filmed like 2 or 3 episodes. I don't know if that's
true.
If that's true, they're absolutely waiting for feedback and then say, okay, this hit, this didn't hit, let's go. And they're going to focus in on the things that they think people like. And so I think as the season goes on, it might get a little bit more focused and a little bit more like keyed in on the things that they think we might like. But this first episode was a mess.
I was annoyed that there was no Harvey Specter because he was shown in the previews. And supposedly he shows up in episode 3 and he's going to be in a 3-episode arc, and the first 2 episodes he's in, it's going to be a flashback, because I said, oh my gosh, is that how they work Harvey in? But they did say the 3rd episode would be Harvey in the present, so we will see Harvey in the present. But I was like, I was promised Harvey Specter, and Daniel's like, no, you weren't. They just showed him in the preview to get everybody to watch, because everyone's like me. It's like, where's Harvey? I'm going to say this as well. You and I have mixed thoughts on the character of Mike Ross. That's correct.
That's correct.
We agree that Suits went downhill when he left the show.
That's also correct.
And you know what's also correct is that right now Suits LA is just a show about lawyers. What's the hook?
It doesn't have a Mike Ross.
What's the angle? The whole angle that got
it doesn't have a Lewis Litt.
Yeah, the whole angle that got you invested in Suits was that there was this guy, Mike Ross, who didn't really graduate from Harvard, he passed the bar for other people, but he wasn't a real lawyer, and they were pretending that he was a lawyer. That and the whole drama that lasted seasons and gave us Prison Mike because of it. That was your hook. That was your angle. So yeah, you got to with that hook, we did get to eventually know about the other lawyers, but it wasn't just a show about lawyers. This just feels like a show about lawyers.
The only thing that's got me mildly interested right now is the dynamic of the Green Arrow's character and the betrayal from Seth the Greenberg's guy, Brian Greenberg, and the other lady who we thought Erica, who we thought was going to be the one that betrayed, but ended up not. And so the interplay between those 3. And I think if they had focused on that for the first episode and dropped the betrayal at the very end of the episode,
it might have been a little bit
I think that would have been a little bit more of an interesting dynamic and let the characters breathe a little bit.
Like the way we're talking very fast because we know this is going to be a long podcast episode. It was like the shows, each scene was like this.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. It was like almost nothing. Like we were watching on speed.
You know, like it's funny because like I remember Suits very specifically for like all those establishing like shots of New York City, right?
Yeah.
They took time to always show us just awesome, beautiful 4K shots of New York City.
They wanted you to know that it was in New York.
And they just like flash through those in this first episode. Yeah. And I expect that to even out a little bit. And if it doesn't, this one's only getting 1 season.
I am happy that we're going to see Harvey, but I am annoyed that, because as soon as they started off with flashback to New York, I'm like, is that how they're working Harvey in? Flashback. But at least they said, supposedly in the 3rd episode, we'll see present day Harvey. And then they're like, doors always open for more people. And he's like, I think that adds weight to the fact they haven't filmed it all, because he's like, we really want to bring another person back from the original cast. We just don't know who. And I'm like, that could be like anybody. Watch it be like Daniel Harvey.
You know, it's
watch it be someone, Sean Cahill, someone annoying.
I appreciate a show that is clearly planned out. And we have a goalpost, and this is what we want to do, and this is how many seasons we want to do it in. That's not what this show is doing, and I do think there is an interesting element to a show that's basically going, we're going to write a couple episodes, and then we're going to see what people think.
Where was the theme song?
I don't know.
They did the theme song in the previews.
Maybe,
I wanted the theme
song. A lot of
song.
times in a pilot episode, you don't get the theme song, and then you get it in the second one. So maybe we'll get it there.
I guess we'll find out.
But I'm interested to see if this is the kind of show where they're basically going to hang over. Like, they're going to have 3 episodes, and they're going to hang out, and they're going to see what people think of it, and they're going to be, like, writing stuff down.
Folks group.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what they do, because I do think there is.
You just got lit up.
There's value in that kind of show as well.
But you don't want to be fan service either.
No, you don't want to be fan service. You want to be a fine line. But I think there is value in making sure that the right characters are hitting the right notes and you're playing to those strengths. obviously.
Right now, I feel like I'm watching a knockoff of the original. I feel like
Yes,
I'm watching
100%.
people like reenact the original.
100%. 100%. It's bad. It's bad. I don't expect it to be this bad going forward, but if it stays this bad, this thing is doomed.
All right, guys. So that about does it. You got your as requested. People always want us to talk about Disney, so we did that for you guys. Those of you that just care about the shows, we gave you that too. So anything else you want to say?
Go watch Special Forces, and if you've already watched it, watch it again, because I need that episode or that season 4 announcement for my mental health.
You did get your images though for season 4 of Star Trek: Strange New Worlds today.
We haven't even got a release date for season 3.
But you know it's coming.
Absolutely, I'm happy with the way things have been going in Star Trek land lately. I am absolutely pleased to know that they have started production on season 4 of Strange New Worlds. But can I at least get a date for season 3?
I had to work in Star Trek for you since we've slowly been turning into just a Muppet Christmas Carol podcast.
You know what would really slap?
Didn't they already do a Muppet Babies Star Trek crossover?
Yeah, but I want a live action Star Trek Muppets. Who would you pick to be your human? So in a Muppets movie, you've got Muppets and humans, but there's one main character that's a human and everybody else is a Muppet. Okay, so if you're going to do a Star Trek episode, one episode of Star Trek, all Muppets, who is your one human you're keeping around? Are we
having like new Star Trek, like the human would be a character from Star Trek I've never heard of, or somebody?
Get messy with it, because I know who I'm picking.
William Shatner. That's who I'm picking.
Interesting. Okay. I know. I'm glad that
as like an old Kirk.
I'm glad that I've turned you.
Shut up, Daniel.
From.
I was trying to wrap up the podcast. Now we're just gonna make it last forever. Who would you pick?
Oh, it's Spock. You have a live action Spock. So
you would pick like the new Spock because isn't
yeah. You have a live action Spock playing the straight character, like Michael Caine did in a Muppet Christmas Carol, and then everybody else is Muppets around him, and so he's like yucking it up with Kirk and McCoy, who are Muppets.
See, I feel like Kirk
would be good. That's a good one. That's
like, I think in his olden age.
And I did not think about the idea of a 90-something William Shatner playing Kirk
he would do it
with
as
Muppets.
Serious as a heart attack, but also still bring that suave energy. I mean, Patrick Stewart, I guess. I can't believe. Oh my gosh, you have poisoned me. We're done. I quit. I'm done with this podcast. I'm eating my jelly beans. Goodbye, everybody.